But isn't it difficult for a number of companies to deal with these multilateral financing organizations, whether it's a World Bank project or the IM, whoever you're going in with like that? It could be difficult, time consuming, unless you have the staff that really understands how to take advantage of these, because a lot of companies just don't want to deal with the bureaucracy. They want to really get to a cut, go straight to a sale, try to do that. But even though there's opportunities there, it takes time. It just doesn't happen overnight.
That's true. It doesn't happen overnight. And the other challenge is that the development banks do not normally go in accordance with business sales cycles. And so what you'll find is a lot of business saying, oh, that's a World Bank project, that's got a 3-year or a 5-year timeline, and I'm looking at next quarter or the quarter after that. But what you can do without a tremendous investment of resources is begin to understand the flows of those programs and when those tranches of money go into a target market government. So that type of activity is doable. The other interesting thing is, and you pointed it out very, very well, is that managing and following these flows of funds are very much a challenge for your customer government. Most of these governments are trying to manage anywhere from 15 to 30 different flows of capital, either loans or grants or other forms of support coming into them, and they have thin bureaucracies and they can't do it. So a company that does its homework, understands what goes into their customer's wallet, is going to have an advantage over its competition and has a better chance of building customer intimacy. Because if you know what goes into a customer's wallet, you can suggest ways to how that customer can stretch his wallet, hopefully buying your technology and solutions.
Let me ask you another question. It's related to, it's all in trade. It doesn't matter whether it's an export or an import, but it's the financing of these projects and how, the seller, how they get paid. Does Blacklin Associates assist on that and trying to set up financing arrangements for some of these transactions?
Very much so, very much so. If you're an American exporter and you are looking at an emerging country, making sure that your customer can actually buy what you're providing is something that you have to think through in advance. One of the great tools that we have is, again, the Foreign Commercial Service that we're both very well familiar with, and getting a lay of the land of the perceived country risk. The US Exim Bank has a very good website that tells you what the perceived risk is. Once you get a few of the US government agencies on board, then you understand where your guarantees are, then you can begin to bring in the private banks. A lot of times you can reach out and get the European banks, the European export credit agencies involved as well, if it's a complex project. Another area where we're looking at greater infrastructure rollout is the phenomenon of public-private partnerships. This is something that is really catching fire. We've already seen it in the United States. We've already seen it in Western Europe, but we're seeing that in emerging countries. You talked about your financing. If you've got a government that's taking a stake in a project and it gives its own guarantees, you've got an international vendor, and you've got, let's say, World Bank or other regional bank that are very serious, all of a sudden you have a structure around a nationally identified high priority area that's very attractive to investors. So pretty soon around that type of thing, you'll find venture capital, you'll find private banks, and it's just a question of optimizing the ingredients around financing.
All right.